some people are destined to go that career path, and they're going to be engineering directors, and they're going to be plant managers, and they're going to, and I just felt like that's not really the way I wanted to go. And I said, well, the way to do this is to go out on your own and as a side hustle, right? And I've sacrificed a lot of vacations, a lot of weekends, a lot of evenings. Didn't watch a lot of football games, didn't do any of that extra stuff. I was always focusing on the company on the side, and grew it into what it is now, where it's my main source of income now. Now I spend all my time working on this.
Welcome to Rochester Business Connections, powered by Balbert Marketing, LLC, where I get the chance to chat with Rochester, New York's very best business owners, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders. I am your host, Ben Albert. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, we don't do advertisements. My fee for this show is simple. If you gain value from the episode, personally share with a friend and explain your favorite part. Let's get started. I am here with Eric Dodds. Eric, man, what's up? How are you today? Good to be here with you.
I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm always excited. This is literally my favorite part of the day, always. I'm just interested in your story and your business, wild water fly fishing, and two main things. I don't know much about it, so I'm going to ask some beginner questions. So we'll get into exactly what that is. And second, I was so impressed when I saw your business on the Rochester Top 100, because it said you only had 2 employees, and usually the businesses on Top 100 have 10, 20, 50, 100 employees. They do 5, 10, 20 million in revenue. And I'm like, how does this guy have one other employee and he made the Rochester Top 100? So we'll get into that. First, let's introduce fly fishing and exactly what products and services you guys offer.
Okay. Well, most people are familiar with fishing, right? This is, conventional fishing where it may be a worm on a hook with a bobber, right? But fly fishing is a little different. We don't use any bait. It's all thread and yarn and feathers and, things like that on the end of tied to a hook. And you're not actually, when you're casting out, you're not actually have a heavy weight that you're kind of flinging out into the water. You're actually sort of throwing the line, like sort of like whipping the line out, and the line carries this really almost weightless thing on the end of the line and lays it out there for the fish. It's usually it's kind of a fun sport. It's different. There's no bait. It's very active kind of fishing, which is always a lot of fun. And it's kind of a little bit more of a challenge for some people, because, a lot of times, it's really easy to catch a fish with bait. It's a little bit tougher to catch them on a fly. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it has its advantages too. So, yeah,
so I'm like, it's a lot of fun. I'm physically in the water in like a shallow area, or how does that work?
You could fish from a boat, you could fish in the water, you could fish on the shore. Everybody envisions when they think about fly fishing, they think of a person standing in a river casting and catching a trout, but you can fly fish anywhere. Like anywhere you fish for, with bait, you can do it with a fly as well.
While we're on it, are there any like awesome spots to fly fish in Rochester, in this Western New York region? Any hot spots?
Oh yeah. Anywhere along the lake, we have the Finger Lakes. We have, we have lots of streams. We have lots of, we have Genesee River, upper parts of the Genesee are great. There's trout up there. The lower parts of the Genesee in the fall, there are salmon and trout that run in from the lake. Right in the city, great spots that well known for fishing, and all along the lake shore. And you would think, even with the 100+ inches of snow we get here every year, that the winter would not be a good time. But actually, I've caught some of my best fish in December and in February. It's a lot of fun. And the great part about that is there's no one else there. You're usually by yourself fishing for world-class trout in a creek or in the lake. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's you obviously love it. How long have you been fly fishing for?
Oh, I think I was 12 maybe.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Yeah.
I like stories like this because it's something that you're passionate about. You've been doing since you were 12, and now you have a full-time business. To my understanding, you had a cushy job, right? And then you stepped away to do this full time. Tell me that story a little. Tell us the story.
Yeah, well, actually, I've had several jobs while I went on this journey to, before I became a full-time entrepreneur, right? I was working for as a as an automation engineer, manufacturing engineer for Borg Warner years and years. 2006 is when we started, and I've gone from Borg Warner to Delphi to Thermo Fisher Scientific, and making a decent living as an engineer, making automation for these companies, to manufacture things. Uh, but I mean, some people are destined to go that career path, and they're going to be engineering directors, and they're going to be plant managers, and they're going to, and I just felt like that's not really the way I wanted to go. And I said, well, the way to do this is to go out on your own and as a side hustle, right? And I've sacrificed a lot of vacations, a lot of weekends, a lot of evenings.
Mm.
Didn't watch a lot of football games. Didn't go, didn't do any of that extra stuff. I was always focusing on the company on the side, and grew it into what it is now, where it's my main source of income now. Now I spend all my time working on this.
I love to hear that story, and I like the preface that it did take a long amount of time. It took work to get to this place. It wasn't. Here's the thing: I love doing what I'm passionate about, but a lot of people want to just quit their day job and do something they're passionate about. And you kind of built this along the way till it got to a point where you had the confidence, the stability to basically go off on your own and do this full time. Tell me about that change or that tipping point. Like when did you decide that okay, I can do this full time? When did you officially make that transition?
Yeah, this was summer of last year, summer of 20. Uh, we had put a lot of effort in early 2020 into improving our Amazon business, improving our marketing, listing quality, making sure we had, really managing better our inventory and all of the critical things that we knew we needed to do. Then, we had sort of a explosive growth, right? A doubling of the size of our company in 2020 from 2019. And we were making enough money that it was, you could comfortably quit the job and be able to live off of the business.
Mm.
There were still a lot of things, like we had to figure out, just basic stuff like health insurance and, how we're going to, pay ourselves, a lot of that. And you got to think too, we ran this company for many years and we sort of had two incomes, right? You had the income from my nice engineering job and you had the income from the side business, and you're essentially giving up the 401k and the salary and the health
Hmm.
benefits and the paid time off and all that. That was probably the biggest risk that we took, was giving up that extra income. But we've made the adjustment now, and frankly, I'll never go back. Right, I'm in this life now for good, and I'm very happy. I'm much happier doing this than working at a 9 to 5 at for a big corporation, for sure. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you were working a 9 to 5 and still running the business. So you were
Oh yeah.
working entrepreneurial hours anyways. Entrepreneurs often work double time. You were doing that anyways, but now you're 100% doing it for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I didn't do it alone. My wife and I, you say we had have an employee. It's really two partners in the
Got it.
business, right? It's my wife and
Yes.
myself working together. And, like we divide up the tasks, right? So, usually like marketing and website and product development and ordering goods and, that kind of stuff, quality, managing suppliers, we hire agencies to help us with work too. That fell on me. And then the day-to-day, answering the phone, packing up the orders, answering customer calls, that day-to-day stuff my wife took care of. So a clear division of tasks. And, so that's basically how it went. So it allowed me in the evenings and the weekends and, early in the morning at lunchtime to be able to take care of those things, because they weren't things that had to be done at 9 o'clock in the morning in order to catch and it wasn't like people are calling me at midnight when I'm emailing my suppliers overseas. It wasn't interfering with the job. So it kind of evolved that way. Right. But it's a great, it's just how we did it. I think it worked out really well.
The fact that you were able to double revenue and have enough to, again, with money and growth comes problems with the health insurance and all these things, but it's a good problem to have. So you're obviously doing something right. And let's talk about the products, because you and I joked before we started, I have this water bottle.
Yeah.
And you guys sell similar ones that are probably even nicer, so I'm going to buy one from you. So water bottle, anybody can utilize a water bottle, but what kind of array of products do you guys sell? You're completely e-commerce, right? It's all online sales?
Yeah, it is all online sales. That was a decision I made very early on. I never wanted to have a physical store, never wanted to have retail anything, right? Just online. And it was sort of a forward thinking, I said, what's the point of going and renting a store and, somewhere in Rochester, in the Rochester area? My market is global. The store is not going to do much for me. So let's just build it online and then see how it goes. And it's worked out. It wasn't as easy as all that, right? The days of, you hear all the stories of people opening up an e-commerce store and within a month they're making $100,000 a week. Those days were gone by the time I started. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of competition already.
What people do nowadays, Eric? Just to say one thing. Nowadays, there's a lot of people that sell courses teaching you how to build an e-commerce store and make all this money. But here's the trick. Here's the trickery. They're making their money selling the course because it's not as easy as it used to be. They might have done it 10 years ago, and now it's far more difficult. So they sell a course teaching you how to do it, and most people fail. So I'm very cognizant of the fact that most people fail at this kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm very, cautious about those kinds of deals, right? They tell you that they have the answers to everything.
Too good to be true.
If they've been selling that course for 2 months, it's probably too old, to be honest with you. The way that, Google's algorithm changes, Amazon changes, everything changes so rapidly. That's probably the hardest part of the business. And I've gone through some of that stuff. I read it and, usually by the time I've read it, it's already changed a little bit or it's completely gone. It's not even relevant anymore. Yeah. So, our products, right? You had mentioned the products, we do have things like water bottles, but those are sort of secondary,
Yes. I assumed so. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not really even a thing. Really, our whole goal was to make fly fishing affordable and accessible to people. And, early on, I didn't get this right. Now we've got the formula of having a fly fishing kit that anybody who wants to try to fly fish for a reasonable amount of money, we're talking like $100, maybe to $150, gets everything that they need in a kit form that they need to do any kind of fly fishing, right? So if you want to go in a boat in the ocean and catch, bonefish or something, there's a kit for that, right? If you want to catch a pike in the bay in the summertime, we got that too, right? And there's all kinds of different kits. We actually have over 40 kinds of kits right now, which I think is probably putting us except for maybe a company like, some of the big box stores that have several brands that might have over 40 between all the brands. But in terms of unique kits from the same brand, I think we are probably the number one offering in that there is right now, which is really the secret to our success.
First off, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Why is there 40s variations? Why would we need so many different variations?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. So if you're fishing in a little mountain creek, way up in the mountains, and it's covered with brush, and you have tiny trout, up in the Sierra Nevadas or something, you've gone in on a horse, right? And you're fishing up in the mountains up there.
Yeah.
You're not going to bring a 9-foot rod that each section is 40 inches long on the back of a horse to fish the stream. The rod's too big, the case is too big. It's the line and the flies and everything are too big for the tiny fish that you're going to catch. So we have a little 5-foot 6-inch rod with a tiny reel and little flies to go up into those little creeks up there and catch them. We have a 12-weight rod, which is about as big as you can get. It's almost as big as you can get. And if you want to go catch a tarpon in Florida with this really stout, long, heavy rod with lots of line and lots of backing so that when the fish runs, you have lots there. We have that. I mean, there's just such a variety of the kinds of fishing that you can do that you kind of need to dial in what kind of gear you take with you. And for a lot of people, that's a barrier, right? First of all, they don't know what to buy, right? If they're really beginners, right? They don't know how to get all the different pieces that they need to go tarpon fishing, right? To go fishing for redfish, bonefish, salmon. We get a lot of salmon questions in September. Like, what do I need for salmon? I'm going to the Salmon River. I'm going to Nova Scotia to fish for Atlantic salmon. What do I need? We get questions like that all the time. For someone who's never done it, to go and pick out all the little pieces that they need and put together their own kit is hard. Not a lot of people there to give you that kind of advice. People don't have the patience for it. But we have a kit, $150, you're done.
Wow.
And that's what we do.
That's amazing. I mean, we need more options, and it's great that the kit's done for you based on specifically what you need.
Yes.
And there's enough options that there's something for everyone. So, wow, it's I know that I could go in winter, but I'm like hesitant to go in winter. But I'm thinking to myself, I need to buy my kit now, because then when spring comes along, I definitely want to try it out, because you don't need to be an expert to go fly fishing, right? Do I need any kind of specialized skills? Do I need to learn from somebody, or can I just pick up a kit and go?
You don't need to. You can get a kit and go. Yes, for sure. Nobody learns anything unless they practice, right? They try it and they do it, right? It's like anything else. You have to spend a little bit of time learning, but you can learn on the fly, and you can. Everybody uses YouTube now, right? You can go get a video. You can go in the yard and cast a fly around and get used to it. There's really no substitute for just going out there and doing it. No one can tell you how to do it. You just kind of have to do it on your own, like anything else.
I like that. And it's fun. Maybe I don't get a fish on my first time, but I got to go out, be outside in nature, take some time off, disconnect from this Zoom thing that we're on right now. I urge people, don't turn this episode off just yet. Finish listening to it. But it's nice to disconnect from electronics and just get out in nature, right?
It is. Standing in the water. I always do something. A friend of mine taught me to do this. I used to just go straight to the water and just fish, right? But we went there and we just sat on the bank and just observed and listened for about 10 minutes. And it was the first time that I had actually seen a caddisfly hatching. So you have these aquatic insects, they live underwater. They're kind of crawling around the rocks. They look nasty, right? They look like they're from another planet. From a larva to a little thing with like 6 legs and these emerging wings. And then they come out of that shell, and then they turn into these little kind of like light tan colored flies, and they sort of just appear out of the water. It's the wildest thing. It's like, did I just see that? Right? It's like all of a sudden there's water, and then all of a sudden there's this little fly. It's like, where did that come from? It's the first time I ever observed it, and it was such a relaxing experience just to sit there and listen to the water and watch these little flies appear out of nowhere. And then the cool thing is you're watching the fish eat the flies, right? If you sit there and you're not splashing around in the water, you actually see them feeding, and you hear the birds and the water. And it was the first time that I ever really got what fly fishing is really all about. It is that relaxing aspect of it, communing with nature. And it was just a great experience. And we caught a lot more fish, by the way, because we knew what they were feeding on. We knew where they were. We knew what to do. And it was a lot of fun.
A lot of intuition in sitting back and watching it happen. Then, wow. Yeah, it's,
yeah.
I'd be the guy, Eric, that probably just dives right in and just tries to start get into fishing. But like you just said, both ways work, because you need to actually go out and do it to get good at it. So
yeah, that was great. And by the way, that was like, I didn't go to Montana or something. That was in Irondequoit Creek in Penfield, right? It was right here. There's literally a car dealership on the other side of the creek. It's kind of like the origin of wild water. The word wild water, or the name wild water, was, inside that creek. That fish doesn't know that there's a car dealer there. It's a wild fish. It's a wild animal living in the water.
Right. Yeah.
Right there. And it's like, the idea that things can be accessible, that you can be sort of visiting a wild place by going and getting a fly rod. It's not that hard to disconnect from our modern life. It's really easy if you look for it. And that's kind of the whole meaning of the name of the company.
There could be a Walmart, and right behind it, we've got a beautiful place where we can go and go fishing.
Yeah. I'm sure there is somewhere. Yeah.
So, and the experienced fishermen probably already know this, but what's the difference between the kind of fish we have here in upstate New York versus, West Coast or other locations or other places in the world? What kind of fish can I expect here?
Well, here, obviously with the lake and with the stocking programs, there's a lot of trout around. But our trout are, stocking programs, stocked fish are different than wild fish. I think, really when it comes to like warm water, so all the Finger Lakes, the bays that we have around here, Sodus and Port Bay and Little Sodus Bay. And I don't know if there's really that much of a difference. A trout's a trout, or a pike or a bass is pretty much the same wherever you go. Some places are better. The scenery is probably a little bit better. It's probably warmer someplace else. The weather's probably nicer someplace else, but the fishing's pretty much the same. Yeah, I take the thing I take to the creek and in Penfield is the thing I take to the river in Montana. It's really not much difference. And even the flies wouldn't even be that different.
Oh, that's it. I didn't know that. Yeah. So it's good to know. It's fun to know. Mm-hmm. Let's pivot and just ask one more businessy question. Because I love to hear, and however hard it can be, struggles or challenges, because it doesn't matter if you're in e-commerce, retail. It doesn't matter if you're, into B2B, B2C. We all have struggles and challenges, and we can all learn from them through business. And I'm wondering, any kind of pitfalls or struggles or speed bumps you maybe ran into over the years, or even in the past year, and a little bit about what you learned from that challenge.
Yeah, you're trying to build a company with two people, and you're trying to make a living out of that, right? There's a lot of things that you don't know, and you don't have a lot of people to turn to get advice. Uh, for us, it was a lot of just trying things and seeing what worked and seeing what didn't. And things still, so, I mean, I'll give you an example. My first order, I had grown up my whole life, and there were a lot of people that had these 2-piece fishing rods, right? And so it's a 9-foot rod, break down into 2 pieces, and they're like 5 feet long, roughly. There's a little overlap in the middle where they connect, so they're between 4 and 5 feet long. Nobody wanted to buy a 2-piece rod, so I took out a second mortgage on my house, and I bought like $7,000 worth of fishing rods, and half of them nobody wanted to buy.
Oh man.
I didn't know any better. There was no market research that I could go to. There was nobody I could ask. There was nothing. You just have to kind of do it and figure out. So I ended up going to these outdoor shows around the country. We have one here in Rochester, and just blowing them out. That's actually how I figured out the kit aspect of it. I met a guy at a show, and he says, "You know what? These people come to this thing. If they could come out of here with a kit for $99, I bet you'd sell a lot of those." And that's how I started, right? So, but we have all kinds of problems. We talked briefly about, we just found out over the weekend, a customer emails us and says, "How do I buy off your website?" And it's like, what do you mean? It's like every other website in the world, right? You put it in the cart, you click checkout, and you put if your shipping information, your credit card, and it's done. We discovered Monday, this guy couldn't see the add to cart button. It wasn't there. And we actually called our website host, Shopify. The Shopify tech couldn't see the add to cart buttons. And whoa, we found out of the people that we surveyed, about a third of them couldn't see the add to cart button. We had a serious problem. Mm-hmm. So I immediately fixed it. But it's stuff like that, with just 2 people, it's hard. It's really hard, and it's not just us, of course. It's managing those people that you have to contract with. We have agencies that help us with marketing. We have agencies that help us with content creation, blogging, video production, all the assets that you need to create that we just don't have the hours in the day to do. And various management issues with managing those suppliers. But you learn. I'm a believer that if you're not failing, you're not trying anything, and
right.
you have to fail to learn. I'd rather not have it that way, but that's sort of the way it is. You got to fail to learn.
I stole this analogy, but I love it. And, all my successes, all my failures, they're all bricks. So even my failures, they are bricks in the home that I'm building. So you take a success, you put the brick down. You take a failure, you put the brick down. You don't throw that failure out. It's actually part of that home you're building. Because, without our failures, what are we going to learn? I sometimes wonder what would happen if everything was just given to me. At some point, I would probably fall on my face because I wouldn't have any challenges in life. So, it's some of these challenges that make us stronger people,
Yeah, I completely agree. The things that I had to fight for, the things that I had to work for, the things that were denied, the failures I've had were more in what made me a better person just in general than anything that went right the first time. Yeah.
Let's leave that at that and go to the rapid fire round, because rapid fire, this is just fun. Get to know Eric, quick, short, easy. You can fill in the blank if you don't like any of the options. Just quick, easy questions. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Are you a early morning person or are you a night owl?
More evening.
I haven't asked this in a while. So I sometimes ask online shopping or in-person shopping, and I'm curious, you do online e-commerce. Do you do most of your purchasing online, or do you still go to local shops as well?
Oh, I think it's moving a little bit more towards online, but I prefer to touch things and see them, unless it's, you know,
Like a commodity
cheaper,
thing.
or, I already know what I want to buy, and I'll just go buy it online, save the time and have the time for other things.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
If it's a local place and I'm looking for, I don't know, any outdoor stuff, I'll go to my local supplier. But if I'm looking for
Mhm.
ink for a printer, like if I'm looking for ink for a printer and it's not something recreational or tangible or close, I'm
Yeah.
buying that online. That's why I love. I love what you guys do. Is I wouldn't be able to walk into a Dick's or any location and know what to pick up. So I like that you have the kits ready to go. That's
Hmm.
the efficiency of online. I could literally, by the time I'm done with this sentence, I mean, I have to talk for a while. I could have a kit purchased and it's already on my way. It's already on the way here. So that's an incredible convenience for us these days.
Yeah.
I said rapid fire and then I went on a rant. We'll just do just recreational stuff, like obviously fly fishing. But what
Mhm.
what do you do when you're just like you're putting all this aside and you're just doing something for Eric? Any hobbies that you love?
Uh, I like cars,
Mm,
and we've gotten into boats in the last year or two. We got a cottage, so I love to spend time there. I love to fish and go out on the boat and go pull up to a restaurant and eat. Um, I did restore an old pickup truck,
nice.
53 GMC, and I love to work on that and drive it around. Um, and other than that, it's spending as much time as I can with my kids doing fun stuff.
I love it. It's
Yeah.
if would you rather restore a car or have a brand new one?
Oh, that's tough. Uh, Man, I do like the restoration.
Mm.
I gotta say, like, the thought of like buying a brand new any kind of car, or finding another old pickup and fixing it up, I'd probably do the pickup. That's a lot of fun for
So,
me.
dude, I know it's
Yeah.
I don't have the skill set to do it. I don't have the skill set to do it, but if I did, I think I'd agree. It's they call it the IKEA effect where everything's just that much better when you're the one building it versus just
Mhm.
purchasing it and then having it there. You get to build it yourself. You get to restore it yourself. That's a fun
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I that my one of my goals long term in my life is to build a home, but I'm a far stretch from being able to do that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Hope to do it
digress a
someday.
lot. I want the listeners to already know this that your link is in the show notes, but tell people
Yeah.
how if I want to look at your products. I personally am going to purchase a water bottle like this, but
Yeah.
from your store, a better version. If I want to get into fly fishing, purchase anything online, where do I go?
Well, you go to wildwaterflyfishing.com. And we just redid the navigation. It's like a lot easier to see now, and
Cool.
a new website that works, which is great. We do sell on Amazon. It's actually the biggest part of our business. So if you have Prime, if you already have your credit card in there, you can just go there, find something, click on it, and you're done, and you have a fly fishing kit on your doorstep in 2 days.
2 days. That's real quick. Yeah.
I think
Amazon.
with Prime, I think Prime shipping is like 2 days. Yeah.
Cool. So does Prime ship it or is it coming out of your warehouse? How does that work? Is it a
We,
drop
we
ship?
do it both ways. So if you buy from the website, it's going to come from our warehouse. We're in Ontario, New York. We got a little warehouse here. That's where I'm at right now in the background. You
Hmm.
can kind of see it blurred out there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we ship to Amazon fulfillment centers all around the country. I mean, easily within a week, it's 20 or 30 different fulfillment centers. And then those fulfillment centers will move our stuff all over spread it out amongst the almost, I think they're up to over 200 fulfillment centers now around the country.
Well,
So
well,
there's probably a wild water package in a warehouse within a 2-day shipping radius from you, wherever you live in the United States right now.
Perfect. And if I don't want to do this in the snow, I can still make the purchase now and go in the springtime.
Sure.
I'll be talking about this year round, brother, not just on this podcast.
Yeah, it's a lot of
Thank
fun.
you. This has been fun, and Eric, I appreciate anything we missed. I just ultimately appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, no, most people ask me a lot about Amazon, right? Everybody's very curious about Amazon. It's a huge part of our business. And you could do a whole show just talking about running a business on Amazon. Like, don't even think about fly fishing part of it. The things that go on there and what you have to do to survive on Amazon could fill 10 podcasts.
It sounds like you should either start your own podcast or start like a PDF course kind of thing, mentorship group, because I like to ask very general questions because my listeners are everything from salespeople to accountants to attorneys to retail. But you have a whole niche of people that want to learn how to do e-commerce and sell on Amazon. Maybe you've got a side business coming in your future, brother. I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
But till then, hey, I just appreciate you coming on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. It's the first time I've done this. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Rochester Business Connections. Don't forget to share this, rate, and comment on your favorite platform. You can also email me, ben@balbertmarketing.com. Let's connect soon. Until then, keep thriving, everyone.